But it's not about being positive. Anyone can be positive. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm positive. I want to win lotto. It's not about that. It's about believing. Remember, passion, obsession, purpose. That's been, and then being positive then. But you've got to have those three ingredients then to be positive.
When I first came up with the concept for this podcast, this is exactly the kind of conversation I wanted to have. Peter Prinzio is amazing. He's a motivational speaker. He's used some of those skills to become a fantastic volunteer community football coach, getting some amazing results with young men. One of the lessons I want you to look out for is that never giving up on your dreams. He talks about how he had a dream of making it in football and how that manifested in playing for Australia much later in life in walking football. He's also a cancer survivor, and the story of how he did will blow your mind. I'm Ian Hawkins, and this is Sport is Life. The purpose of sport, as I see it, is to see your vision become a reality. Find your voice, create strong connections, and learn to trust your body. Peter, how you going?
Oh, good, thank you. Ian, how are you?
Really good, mate.
That's
I
good.
love the shirt. Now, for those who
yes.
are just listening and not watching, the NVGVUP. Talk us through the significance of that shirt for you, Pete.
Yeah, that's my actually that's my number plates on my car. Never give up, and that's what it stands for. Never give up. And obviously that comes from what I do now as a speaker, mentor, life coach, whatever you want to call me. And because of my past and what I've been through, my journey over the last 40 years, I came up with this never give up attitude. Now, we've all heard that, never give up. I mean, everyone knows that, never give up. So I go that extra step. I say, never give up no matter what. And I mean, no matter what. Because when you hear my story, it was no matter what. Because I've been through so much. And I don't know. I think we're all born with it. I truly believe we are all born with a DNA of never giving up.
I believe that too.
Yeah, because I mean, on stage when I share my story, I mention about that most of us are parents now, and when we have a child, I presume you've got children.
Yeah, a couple of children. Yeah.
So when a child is born, and we grew up as a child too, but when a child's born, you have a look. When that baby, if it's 6 months, 12 months, and it starts to walk, it doesn't just get up and walk. It'll wobble, it'll fall, right?
Yeah.
Agree?
Yeah.
It'll actually hit its head. It'll get a bruise. It'll cry. But does that baby stop getting up and walking? No, it doesn't. Why? Because it has that never give up attitude in their
100%.
DNA.
100%.
Then they get older, 6, 7 years old, and they get a bike for Christmas. Same thing. What happens? Do they know how to ride a bike? No, but they get on there, they learn, and then they start to know fear. They go faster over rocks, over hills, whatever it is. They fall. They scrape their leg. They even break their one of my nephews break their arm. Does it stop that young child getting on their bike? No. Why? Because it has that never give up attitude. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, when we then 12, 13 years old, we're at high school, and we start to read and listen and hear other family members and friends. All of a sudden, people start to tell these young people, that's hard. It's, you'll never be able to do that. And all of a sudden they get that mindset. Well, that never give up goes out of their mindset. And is that true? So we're all born with it. We lose it. My job is to bring it back in and say to people, hey, so that's where that brand came, the branding came from, never give up. And I share it, my message.
Yeah. And to me, what you've touched on there is one of the great absolute joys that we get from doing work on ourselves is that the positive influence we're then able to have on our children. Because if you come back to that walking thing that you talked about, the parents are also super encouraging. They're not saying, get up, idiot. They're not saying you need to do this different technique. They're just letting them go. Somewhere along the line, though, we try and then place our control on our children. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but for me, watching my children grow as I grow as my wife grows has been just such a, like, probably the blessing that I hadn't expected by me going on this journey. Is that something you've noticed with your children as well?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And you touched a good point there, that when that child starts to walk, what do parents do? Come on, sweetheart. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
But we lose that. Then when they get older, we don't encourage them anymore. Not because we don't want to see them succeed. It's just that mindset is, they'll be fine. But when they, we give them that encouragement. Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need today around the world. We need encouragement. We need hope for our young people, because you know what, Ian? Our young people today, our teenagers, are going to be our future leaders, politicians, community leaders, business people, mums, dads, teachers, whatever. And 100%. if we don't get their mindset right now, we're going to have a big problem in 20, 30 years time. And you can see it happening right now.
100%.
And we're going to have a big problem. And that's why there's people like yourself, myself, are out there through sport, through whatever, mentoring, and giving them hope, encouragement, and never giving up.
Love it. So while we're talking about childhood, when you were young, did you have a sporting dream that you saw for your future?
I like to say, because I was born here in Australia, so I'm an Aussie, which I am, and I love Australia, but I look like an Italian because I'm an Italian background.
Yeah.
All Italians love football. We grew up with a soccer ball. So when I was a young kid, my dream, and that's the interesting part, because when I grew up, I'm a Newcastle born, bred here in New South Wales.
Yep.
So in Newcastle, when we were growing up, we didn't have Optus, Foxtel, or Fox Sports, Stan. We didn't have any of that. All we had in Newcastle, me growing up as someone who loved football, was the local, let's say in Sydney, Bondi versus, Double Bay, whatever it was, United. That was it. Yeah,
Adamstown.
Adamstown, Adamstown versus Lambton Jaffers. And that's so. Even though I used to think, and later on in the chat you'll understand, what happened to me recently. But that was, I wanted to play at a high level, which I did, and I wanted to play for Australia, but there was no weekly, monthly, daily watching what we can do now. Watch Real Madrid, watch England, watch Australia, watch Qatar winning the Asia. We didn't have that then. I'm talking 40, 50 years ago, right? Because I'm 62. So
did you at least have Match of the Day back then, and the old Shoot magazine?
Well, that's what it was. Match of the Day was on a Sunday night, and it was a local thing. That was it. So really, someone who my dad was in the building game, like all Italians, all concreters, right? They worked 7 days a week. So I had to get to training myself or get a lift. I used to go play Saturday, on my own. I didn't have my father on the sideline. Like today, parents, they encourage their kids. I grew up that way, but I had that passion for football. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, yeah. Yeah,
awesome. And do you have any like real cool moment from your young years, that good, bad, or otherwise, that really sticks in your memory?
Yeah, look, two things. One that's, when I was playing, I think it was under 14s, under 15s, for the local team, which was Mayfield United at the time. I got selected to Northern New South Wales at the time. So that was an achievement.
Wow, that's cool.
And then at high school, I was playing what they call Tasman Cup. And I actually was playing against Craig Johnston.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's hence why I'm a Liverpool fan today, right? Because we used to, Craig Johnston, and the reason why he stood out, because he had the curly hair even at the age of 15, 16. And then one day, one of my team members said, "Oh, do you know that kid there? He apparently is going to England." And everyone's going, "No." And back then it was like, "No way. Yeah, he's going to Middlesbrough," and that was the big thing. And then when he went to Liverpool, I started to follow Liverpool and I'm a Liverpool since. But that were two things that stand out. Getting selected for Northern New South Wales, that was the highest I went. And then, playing against someone, Craig Johnston, who I wear the Predators today still, that he designed, the Adidas Predators. So they are. So that's two things that stand out.
I'll have to send you a podcast interview where I heard him on recently. Shout out to the Howie Games, which is a great sporting podcast. Telling his story about the boots and about his football journey. So good.
Yeah. I've got his book. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is a great book. And you wouldn't be the only Australian who's a Liverpool fan from Craig Johnson's journey, that is for sure.
Exactly.
So this might take you into your more recent story. So I'll let you take this where it goes. But I'd love to hear about, so what's the number one positive impact that sports had on your life from those young years all the way through?
Well, I think looking back now, Ian, one thing that sport has done for me, besides being able to fulfill my passion of believing when I walk on that field, even though it's a Saturday afternoon or Sunday, that I could be a Maradona, which I used to get called Maradona. That was my nickname, right? Or a Messi in that. Yeah, even though I wasn't, but walk on there and pretend, because we all do that as kids. We dream, we want to be a wrestler or an athlete, whatever. And the good thing about that, I realize now in what I do, that visualization and believing something sometimes manifests to achieving a dream. Not all the time, but for me, and you'll hear soon, it did, right? Even though it was later on in life. So one thing that I take out of it, not only the fulfilling your passion, because I think football, we all start off as a passion, and then it becomes, I can do this, I can get better at this, I can represent and play for Sydney FC or Wanderers or whatever it is. I can do, Australia. I can do whatever. But you have to start somewhere. And that somewhere is passion. And then passion becomes an obsession. And then obsession becomes a fulfillment.
Yeah, it's a great point. There's a mate of mine who owns an academy here in Sydney in football, and he posted a comment. I'm pretty sure it was Harry Redknapp quote talking about how you can't force a child to like football. You can't make them. You can't keep sending them to all this specialized training and expect them to be good. They've got to find that love themselves.
That's right.
And isn't that true just for every area of life, right? Like I can hear from your passion about what you do, that you've found what you love. So how important is that for people to realize that you can do all the things you have to do if as a parent, as a partner, as someone who in the workforce or business or whatever it is, but it's so important to have that passion as part of that, right?
Yeah, because what passion does, and I don't mind sharing a little bit about my story, what I do today as a speaker.
There you go.
Passion gives you a purpose to wake up tomorrow morning, and the next, and the next, and the next. Yeah. Without a passion, without a purpose, what do you live for? You live day by day, and that's not what life's about. We all know that you're born and we die. We all know that. Now, I'm not going to go spiritual, what you believe in afterlife, but that's the life we have. It could be 60, 70, 80, 90. And the ones who hit 100 plus, good luck to them.
Yeah.
We have to make the best of that. That I've realized that. We really do. And the reason why we do that, because we want to be able to inspire other people, like I am now, the journey, the experience, the lessons. Now I'm inspiring others, what I went through, and to change their lives for the better. So it absolutely with passion becomes purpose. Purpose becomes an obsession, like I said, and then you go for your dreams. And nothing will stop you as long as you've got that never give up attitude, because it will hit you. So I'm going to give you a secret here. There's a lot of motivational speakers, or a lot of speakers around the world that teach us about goal setting and achieving your dreams, chase it, go for it. Well, I've realized one thing, that's not really how it works. I'll tell you the secret to achieving your goals and dreams. And this is exactly how it works. When you and I, or anybody out there listening to this, you have a passion, you have a dream, you have a vision, whatever it is. Once you see it here subconsciously, once you see it and you get that feeling, if I achieve it, wow, I tell you what happens. That dream, whatever it is, the universe has already created it for you, whatever it may be. It's there ahead of you. And what it does then, it starts to, like a magnet, it starts to attract you towards that. Now, what happens then in life, this is how life works. What happens then to make you a better person and a stronger person, life gives you what they call obstacles, challenges, adversity. And most times, my research tells me that once a normal person goes once, twice, by the time they go the third time, they go, this is it. I can't do this anymore. It's too hard.
Yeah.
And that dream, that passion, most of the time will just dissolve. It's gone. You know what? I can assure you one thing. Go to any local cemetery and look out one day. And I say this to your listeners. Go out there to a local cemetery, look out there for about 10 minutes and just say to yourself, you know what? There is billions of dollars of ideas and dreams gone, never to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Either because they gave up in life or they never went for it and just died of old age.
Oh, goosebumps.
Yeah. And you know what? And if anyone yourself comes to my event, you'll hear me share a true story that actually has that particular scenario and what happens in a guy in Parramatta. And it's so true. And when you look at that, you think, you know what? These people not going to have another chance.
Yeah.
I'm alive. Whatever surrounds me, whatever's around me, it doesn't matter. Because one of the things I tell my young people or my soccer, when I used to coach, is if you do not control circumstances around you, then circumstances around you is going to control you. And how do you control things? Well, you don't react, you respond. You don't react, you respond. Doesn't matter, you're 3-0 down at halftime. Hey, come back, you can do 4-3. It's possible, but you've got to believe it. You've got to have that passion to go out there and make it happen. So, I mean, all these things over my 40-odd years of my journey is taught me to be able to, that nothing's impossible, Ian. Honestly, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the old saying? You reach for the stars, you'll never come up with a handful of dirt. That I can assure you, but you've got to reach for the stars.
Yeah. And what you said there about the cemetery, I remember Les Brown, another motivational speaker like yourself, talking about that. He goes, it's the richest place in town because of exactly what you described. The millions of dollars of ideas that were just ideas and never got brought to fruition.
Yeah, and through, as I said, because of old age, or unfortunately because they gave up on life, and most of them ended their life. And there's a lot of that at the moment because of what's happening around the world. And that's why my event is called the World Needs Hope Tour. And we do. Young people, old people, we need hope. We need to believe. And it's people like you and I that are sharing and spreading the message of hope. How? Well, Peter de Prinzio, if you hear his story, I'm a school dropout, by the way, just so you know. I walked away at school at 15. So I've got no school certificate, no high school certificate, no college, no university degree, nothing, zilch. But I do have the University of Life degree. And that I top everyone out there because of the amount of adversity and challenges I had to go through to do what I do today. Oh, by the way, just so you know, I'm not known as a motivational speaker. I'm known as an inspirational speaker because I inspire. I don't want to motivate. I want to inspire.
Love it. Love it.
That's all right.
Now, talking about inspiring,
yes,
the reason we're having this conversation is when the concept around this podcast was born late last year, I started, exactly like you described, I started attracting people in who were perfectly aligned to the story. And yours is one of them. And I saw your story about how you'd played for Australia in football, walking football, and you'd gone on a tour. But then you started talking about the backstory and what you'd had to overcome to get there. So, and again, getting tingles again. I'm so looking forward to hearing this, Peter. So you can start wherever you like. You can start with the playing for Australia part, or you can go to how you got to that place.
Well, okay. I suppose it's like the Godfather movie number 2. It starts, and then it goes back to the beginning, how it all ended up to. So I'm going to do a bit of that, Godfather. Look, everything we just spoke about, what I'm about to share with you, actually, it confirms what we've just said. So what happened was 41 years ago, at the age of 21, I grew up in Newcastle. I was born in Newcastle. I was working for a company at the time because I left school early, and we came to Sydney at the place called the Horden Pavilion. And on that day, and there's a reason why I'm sharing this, because it'll make understand why I do what I do today.
Yep.
On that day, there was speakers on there, and there was nearly 10,000 people that attended. They had people like Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, a local guy called Alan Peace. What's his name? The real estate guy. I forget his name. A guy in Australia called Peter Daniels, and Og Mendino, right? Oh, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, right? He was the last speaker. Yeah. So I was 21, 9 o'clock in the morning, finished at 6. I've never experienced motivational speakers before. I'm sitting there, and that day something changed me. We finished. We were walking back to go back to Newcastle, a group of us. So walking back to the Tarago, the old Tarago. And I looked at my boss, bless his soul, now he's passed away. And I said, Mr. Williams, I now know what I want to do. And he just looked at me. Now I was in financial planning back then. And he's thinking, what do you mean now you know what you want to do? I said, yeah, no. I said, after what I just experienced, I want to be like them. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I want to be a speaker. Now, that was just a 21-year-old, just put it out there. Subconsciously, that seed was planted 41 years ago. And then Mr. Williams turned to me, and this is what he said. He goes, Peter, you know what? I believe truly you can be one of the great ones, but you need a good story to share and tell. Now, guess what I thought he meant at 21? So I've got to come up with a good joke that when I come out on stage to break the ice. Little did I know that the universe, God, whatever you want to believe in, I planted that seed. All of a sudden, and I do believe in God, I believe that God said, okay, Peter, I'm going to give you a story to end all stories so you can become who you want to be. Well, 3 months later, it started. Now, like you said, this podcast is not about my whole life story, but I can tell you I went through 7 major things over 40 years, 7. And the last one was 10 years ago, 23rd of July, 2014. I get diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. Wow. Now, I was playing football. How did I find out? I was playing football for over 45s local here in the hills, and I had a sore back. We all have sore backs. I just let it go. It's pre-season training, and one night it really got sore. And I thought to myself, listen, I need to go to a chiropractor or physio, whatever. So I'm going to get some scans done. Yeah, and just see if there's a muscle, there's a nerve. Who thought that no one thinks of cancer, right? So I went and got scans done. And the guy said, when are you going to go see your doctor? This is a Thursday night. And he said to me, I said to him, I don't know. He told me Monday, Tuesday, next week, whenever. He goes, well, look, no, I suggest you go back now. This is, mind you, about 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm sending the results back. I knew then this doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
But
Did
still,
that scare you?
Look, it didn't scare me, but I'm thinking, oh my God, I didn't even think cancer. All I'm thinking is like, wow, what is it? So anyway, I go back to the doctors. I had to wait about 40 minutes. He called me in. He goes, well, look, he said, I've got the results, Peter. I know where the pain is coming from. I said, oh, what is it, doctor? He said, he showed me the scans. He showed there's a hole on the bottom of my spine. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, so now we know it's a hole. And I said, what would have caused that? He goes, well, that's the problem. I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, there's only one thing that causes that, and it's called myeloma. And I said, melanoma. I'm going scared. He goes, no, myeloma. Never heard of it. I said, what's myeloma? He said, well, it's a part of a blood cancer, leukemia, but it's bone marrow cancer, and it gets into your bones, and it just eats away.
Wow.
And I thought, no way. Anyway, long story short, I got all these tests and this and that, and I've done so many. And then the last one was at Blacktown Hospital here in Sydney, and they took me straight to Westmead Cancer Unit on the Thursday, the 23rd of July. And the doctors came in at 7 o'clock that night, the oncologist and 2 doctors. I had all my family there. And he said, Peter, we have your diagnosis back, and unfortunately, it's not good news. So my mother starts to cry, and I'm looking at him. I said, well, tell me, doctor, what is it? He goes, you have what they call multiple myeloma. Now, multiple myeloma, like you said, it's an incurable stage 4 cancer, and there's no cure for it. And you won't be able to walk, and this is how long you got to live. Straight out, bang.
Now, what did he give you? How long?
Well, he said around 12 months, give or take, right?
Yeah.
And so he said, depending on, it could be less, could be more, but depending on the treatments, everything else.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, Italian family, they start to really cry, thinking, oh my God, he's going to die, this and that. I didn't react. He says to me, is there anything you'd like to ask or say whilst, knowing the news? And this is exactly my response. I said, doctor, I was on morphine, right, because of the pain. I said, doctor, with all due respect, I said, see that piece of paper? I said, it's not going to happen. And he just looked at me. And the other 2 doctors looked at me as if, what is this guy going on about? I said, doctor, let me explain to you. I said, 1. And this is exactly what I said, right? The truth. I said, 1, I believe in God. God's much bigger than that piece of paper. 1. 2, I'm going to use the power of prayer, the power of visualization, law of attraction. I said the power of positive thinking. I'm going to use all that. But I said, but guess what? It's not going to happen. And that's all I said to him.
So good.
And this is what he said to me. He had a bit of a smile like you, and he went, look, you get some rest and we'll be back tomorrow. So he's thinking, mate, he's on morphine. He has no idea what he's talking about. And he's thinking he's delusional. Little did he know, no. I now have purpose, right? So he's walked out. My family are crying. I had my partner at the time next to me. She's holding my hand, and she says to me, Peter, are you crazy? Do you understand how serious this is? Did you hear what he just said? And I said, stop. I said, please, everyone, just shut up. This is exactly what I did. I said, shut up. I said, let me share something. Let me tell you all this. 1, if I'm to accept what he just told me, I'm going to die. I said, do you know that? So I said, I'm not going to accept it. I don't want it. It's like a virus on your computer. If you download it, it's going to whole computer, all your memory, everything's gone. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete it from the inbox and delete it from the junk box, deleted box. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete it. Don't want to know. Don't want to hear. And I said to my partner, you talk to the nurses. I don't want to know. Let me do what I do best. And I'm going to visualize. Now, they all walked out probably thinking the same as the doctors. Mate, this guy doesn't understand how serious. Like, he's an oncologist. Now, I've got nothing against, please, whoever's watching this, I've got nothing against doctors or please, this is me. I'm in control of my circumstances. Remember, if you don't control it, it will control you. So when they walked out that night, I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden, right, all these years on, 30 odd years on, I started to visualize that I was going to be on stage one day as a speaker, sharing how I overcome not only the 6 things before that, but now terminal cancer.
Oh,
right?
I'm getting tingles. So good.
And that's literally what I started to do. And then I grew up, and you probably know this, and some of your listeners might know this, Space Invaders. You know, Space Invaders?
Yeah.
So I would visualize those little spaceships in my body, going to all the cancer, tumors everywhere on my body, which, by the way, I had lesions at every part of my body except my hands and feet. So I would visualize these every day, morning at night, going there, shooting off these laser beams and just seeing the cells exploding. Literally, that's what I would do day and night.
Love it.
Now, I spent a month there. One day, about 2 weeks, I was on my back. Remember, I couldn't walk, and I couldn't because my pelvis, if you see on my pelvis, the scan, and my 2 legs, my upper bone, my legs, you would see it's so damaged, there is no way I was be able to walk. And that's what they told me. I would never walk again. So, yeah. So I pretty much was going to be in the wheelchair until I died. That's what they're saying. But 2 weeks went by, and one morning, the 2 nurses came in, a guy, a male and a female, And they said, look, Peter, the doctor said, because you've been on your back, we're going to help you up on your side of the bed to sit you down and get the blood flowing, because you need to do that. You've been 2 weeks on your bed laying down. So I was fed, I was washed in bed, I was cleaned in bed. Trust me, toilet, it was embarrassing. But there was a walker. And if you ever come to my event, you'll see the walker, and I shared the story, but there was a walker there. And they said, we want you to lean on it and just for about 30 seconds and then lay down. We'll get you back up. We're just going to get the blood flowing. They did that once. The second time, and I was still in a lot of pain, right? And I'm sitting there, and my hands on the walker, and all of a sudden I had this urge, and I turned to the nurse and I said, I want to walk. She said, Peter, she goes, look, you can't. I said, don't tell me I can't. I want to walk. They said, Peter, do you understand? If you walk and your bones are so fragile, I said, listen, I'll sign a waiver. I don't care, with or without you. I'm going to walk today. Do you understand that? She looked in my eyes. She knew I was serious. She goes, Peter. I said, then the boy said, Pete, honestly, you can't make. We can. I said, no. I'm taking responsibility, but I'm going to walk with or without you. Now, there's a video, and you'll see photos at the event. I get up. I was in pain.
Yeah.
I was shuffling my feet, but I went around the ward twice. The first time, as I walked around the reception area in my ward, the cancer unit, all I could see, these two nurses, they sort of took a double take. They looked at me. One of them started to cry because she couldn't believe. Yeah, because they knew my diagnosis. And they're saying, what's he doing? I was walking. Now, that night, the oncologist came back in, the doctors, and I remember he opened up the curtain and he goes, Peter, I don't know what you're doing, but you know what? Keep doing it, because it's obviously working.
Oh, so good.
And I said, doctor, remember 2 weeks ago, I said, that piece of paper, I said, sometimes when someone makes a statement and they believe it with their heart, you've got to understand that manifestation, that miracle will happen, because I have so much faith that nothing was going to stop them. I said, I'm one of those guys, doctor. Right? He calls me today Mr. Miracle Man. So anyway, I'm not going to go any further, but here we go. This is the reason to go to what about Represent Australia and what I did. Yeah. This is what happened. I was coaching a team at the time, under 15s, Kellyville Colts here in Sydney.
Yeah,
we were, I think, at the time, 4th on the ladder when I got diagnosed. And as you know, our season finishes around August, or give or take.
Yep.
When the manager, who was my partner at the time, and the manager went back and told the kids and the parents, this is Peter's diagnosis. He won't be back. The chances are he'll never walk and he's going to die within certain time. So they all got emotional. They all cried, whatever.
Yeah.
So what happened? The last game of the season, it was a Saturday. I was in hospital. She went and she came back. And she said, Peter, they lost again. So they're out of the semis. But she said, you need to see this. I said, what? She goes, the captain of the team, Matt, came up and said, we want to do a 10, 15, 20-second video, each player. We want to give Peter a message. So They did that, the whole 14 of them. So I'm laying in bed. I got my headphones on and I'm watching these 14 boys saying things like, Peter, we don't want you to die. Peter, you're the best coach. We want you back. All these things. At that point, Ian, like now, I got emotional.
Yeah, same.
And then something came over me. And when that feeling of, that's it, I'm not going to give up. I have now purpose. I turned to my girl and said, I now have purpose. She goes, what are you talking about, Peter? I said, no. I didn't finish something. I've got to, like the young kid on the bike walking, I've got to finish what I started. She goes, Peter, what are you talking about? I said, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to have an opportunity. I'm going to coach. And that team that I'm going to coach, I'm going to get them to the grand final and we're going to freaking win, because that's my purpose. So now I have purpose to stay alive, more reason than before. And that's what I said to myself. Now, that was 2014. So
can I just pause you there for a sec, Peter?
No.
So To me, that just says about the impact you had on those kids as
Mm,
their coach, because not every group of 14-year-olds has
that's
the
right.
desire, the ability, and the belief to do what you just described. So to
That's
me,
right.
it's obviously before that place you were all already a really positive person, and that's just speaks volumes. And at a time when unfortunately there's a lot of coaching out there that's still quite negative, to me that just paints such a wonderful picture of not only the journey after that, but what you must have already been contributing to these not just the children's but their family's life as a result.
Yeah, because I don't have a coaching license or a coaching went to coaching school. Nothing. It just everything I knew. Remember this out of seven. This was the seventh. So up to that,
Yeah,
I had a journey, and it was in me, and I knew that what I have, I share it, inspire my these boys, and
yeah,
it wasn't tactically and technically right. What it was all about mindset. It was
yeah,
all about setting little goals. It was all about a never give up attitude, no matter what, and bringing out the best in them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because a good leader, contrary to what our leaders today around the world, a good leader is not someone who thinks they're better than you. A good leader is someone who brings out the best in you. And that's what
yes,
I was doing. It wasn't about
yeah,
Peter Prinzio. It was about my 14 boys bringing out the best in them, even though some of them were told that they were never going to be able to play for the school because they weren't good enough. Well, that's okay. I was going to make them a great player because I had to believe it first. So, yes, you're right. I had that response because I was different to every other coach. So, I had that purpose and I said, I'm going to coach again. Now, that was in 2014. I'm not going to go too much into it. What happened with the cancer, 6 months on, I had a blood test and I hate needles. This is December the 15th. And 2 days later, they rang me and they said, Peter, can you come back and do another blood test? And I said, what for? I said, what for? They said, well, I don't know, because she said, and I knew the lady there. She goes, something went wrong. I said, what do you mean something wrong? She goes, well, nothing come up. So obviously you have to come back, something went wrong. And I knew at that point,
you've beaten it. You've beaten
I
it.
said, I was on the phone. I said to her, listen, I said to her, Janelle, I'm not going to come back and I'll never come back. Sorry, nothing against you. I said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Boom.
Oh,
And can I tell you something, Ian? That was the
yeah.
15th of December, 2014.
Yep.
It is 2024. I have not, and as I stand here, I can
Yep.
put my hand on Bible. I have not been to a doctor. I have
Yeah.
not been for a test to see if cancers come back. Not once. No medication. No, I stopped everything, and it's been basically 10 years almost. I haven't been, and I'm still alive.
Oh, mate, that is
So,
so good. So
so,
good.
so here we go. Now the great part starts, right? I was told I never
Hang on, hang
would.
on, hang on, hang on. Can we just pause there for a sec, right?
Sure.
Because the people who have stories like this,
Yeah.
that's not just about a positive mindset. That's like incredible courage to be able to stand in the face of what everyone else is believing, what everyone else is saying, and the fear that I imagine that all the important people in your life are experiencing by you having this attitude. So, how did you navigate their reactions, which I imagine would have been, what do you mean you're not going to go back and get tested?
Well, it's what, Ian, it goes back to what I said in life. When things happen to you, you either react or you respond.
Yeah,
Reaction is a negative,
yeah,
response is a positive. So there was people who go, Peter, you stupid, what's wrong with you, Kim? You got to do this. I just said, listen, my body, I know my body. I know that everything, your mind controls everything. And we either react to what we think and affirm and feel, or we respond to what we think, affirm, and feel. And I'm feeling fantastic. I know that I'm healed. And you know what? I believed that from day one, the 23rd of July, 2014, I just said to myself, I am healed. I just have to make it manifest now. Because
yeah,
if I say, oh my God, I got cancer, oh my God, see, you're attracting that and keeping that. I had to say I was healed and healed. My body was started to respond to that. Now, how do I know this is a fact? Let me tell you. Again, I share this, but I'll share it with you because this might change people's lives. Before I got diagnosed, 2 years before that, my mother got diagnosed at 76 ovarian cancer.
Yep.
Right? Now, my father died from lung cancer. My sister, I only got a sibling, one sister. She had MS. She's bedridden. My father got cancer. He died. My mother got cancer. So in 4 of us, 3 cancer, 1 MS. But this is before I was the last one to get diagnosed with cancer. But listen to this. My mother got diagnosed with cancer. My dad had passed away. She was feeling lonely in that. And the doctor said to my mother, because of your age, because of where the ovarian cancer, where it is, there's not much we can do, Mrs. Prinzio. We're going to try and make your life as comfortable as possible. Whoa. Ready for this? She accepted she was going to die. I didn't accept that. So 3-4 months on, one day I got this urge. So what did I do, Ian? I called my mother. And I said to her this. I said, Mum, do you love me as your son? She goes, of course I love you. Yeah. Do you trust me as your son? She goes, of course I do. And I said this in Italian because she's old school. She'd been here for a long time, but still she understood more Italian than English. So I said, good, I'm going to tell you 3 words and I need you to believe this. She goes, what's that? I said, you are healed. At that point, I hear her started to cry. She's going in Italian. She goes, oh my God, Peter, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? I said, Mom, do you love me? Yes. Do you believe me as your son? Yes. Good. You are healed. Well, let me tell you, my mother's now 88. She goes every 6 months to get it. She does go and get checked to see if the cancer. Mrs. Prinzio, seen 6 months' time. 88. Nothing. Now, my mother has never been to watch The Secret, The Law of Attraction, read the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. None of that. But she had a son because she lost her husband that said to her, Mum, you are healed. So she believed that. Her body responded to that. She didn't know education. Remember, she went through World War II, kicked out of school, left school when she was 9. But she believed it because her son told her. Her body started to respond to her feelings and thinking. My mother's still alive. Okay? Proves that the mindset is very strong. Now, I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone. And, you know what? I'm not saying that. But you know what? What's the alternative, Ian? What's the alternative?
100%.
Okay? So let's go back.
So I just to back that up. So my mother-in-law got cancer, and she just said the same thing. It's not my time.
That's it.
And she's still with us, and I must be getting close to 10 years now.
They are.
And again, not to say that's going to work for everyone.
No, that's right.
Like you said very early on in this conversation, it doesn't guarantee it.
No.
But by having that visualization, you're giving yourself the best chance.
Of course, absolutely. And you know, because I've been to, I've been asked as a speaker, mentoring people, cancer patients, and they said, but you know what, my mother, she was a positive person, but it's not about being positive. Anyone can be positive. Oh, yeah. I'm positive. I want to win lottery. It's not about that. It's about believing. Remember, passion, obsession, purpose. That's been, and then being positive then. But you've got to have those 3 ingredients then to be positive, because you don't have the 3 ingredients. You can be positive, but nothing about them. Because a lot of people are positive, but they'll always have that little bit of doubt going, yeah, but she's a doctor. He said, I don't, I've only got 3 months, and they keep affirmation. They believe that. See, I was seeing myself on stage. I was seeing the spaceships, but I was seeing myself coaching. I was seeing all these things, and that was purpose for me, passion, obsession, and just purpose to keep going. So what happened was I put it out there in July that I got something to finish off. 2 years on, I get a phone call. Oh, Peter, Kellyville United, another Kellyville team, new club on the Hills District. One of the parents pulled out. Would you be interested to coach? And I thought, thank you, universe. I said, I'm in. I said, really? I said, I'm in. So here we go. Under 15 teams, right? Under 15 team. Now listen to this. This is the great part. Pre-season, go to Castle Hill in the showground because that's where we had to do pre-season, and 15 players and all the parents come to meet and greet. And this is what I said to them. I said, but 2 of them that I knew in the past, the rest all new. I
Yep.
said, ladies and gentlemen, boys, I said, my name is Peter Prinzio. I said, let me tell you a little bit about my story. I briefly gave him a little bit of story. I said, but I'm here to tell you this. See this year? I said, we're going to get to the grand final and we're going to win the grand final. There was a pause. There was a silence. Everyone's going, I could see a couple of parents looking at each other saying, who is this bloke? Right? But little did they know I was serious. I said, no. I said, listen, what I'm going to tell you. We will only do that if you listen to me and you do what I tell you. I said, I promise you, my job, I will get you to the grand final this year. We did. We won the grand final that year. We got there, we won it.
Yeah.
After that finished, I said to them, to the team and to the parents, I said, you know what? Just to prove a point that it wasn't coincidence and it wasn't luck, we're going to do it again next year, right? I want you all back. We're going to get to the grand final to win again. We did it again.
Back to
In
back.
fact,
So good.
I did it 3 times, and just think I'm picking up the same medallions. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
There it is. There. All right.
3 different. Love
3.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And amongst that, I got coach of the year. Right.
It's
Now,
so good.
here's the part. Ready for this?
Yep.
By the 3rd year, my president of the club rang me and said, we've got a big problem. I said, what's wrong? He said, mate, we've got about 40, 50 boys that want to come and play with that coach. So all the hills, Balcombe Hills and Windsor, all the teams that used to hear me on the sideline, used to hear me giving my boys a pep talk. And now they're ringing up saying that Italian little bloke, I don't know his name, that the guy that wears the never give up shirt, we want to be playing for him. He goes, Peter, we've got a problem. We can only have 14, 15. That's it. What are we going to do? I said, that's not my problem. Right. but it just showed you I had an impact on everybody else.
100%.
But this is the thing. Ian, ready?
Yeah.
When if you come to my show, anybody invited to come to my show, you'll see there's a photo that I put up of the last grand final that I played. All the boys were sitting down in front of the goal mouth, sitting down. When the other team, Castle Hill, were warming up, my boys were sitting down. And guess what they were doing? You'll see it on the photo.
Visualization.
Head down, eyes closed.
Yep.
And in the background, all the parents, the president, because the president wanted to know, what does this guy do to this team? Because not only the kids, but the parents are positive. What's going on? So he came. You see him in the back taking a video. My boys were visualizing. My goalkeeper was visualizing that he had the biggest hands, no one got past him. My defenders were visualizing they were brick walls. My strikers were visualizing seeing that ball hit the back of the net and watching it, move. Yeah. This is what I was doing to my team. The other team and coach go, what are they doing? But little did I know, I was preparing my boys for battle. Visualization.
So good. Have you heard John Aloisi talk about the decider against Uruguay in 2005 when he said before the game, I already knew I was going to score the winning goal.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
And then he talked about it, and he goes, and everyone else is like, in this other place. And what did he say? He goes, whereabouts are the family sitting? And they're like, why do you want to know that? He goes, because that's where I'm going to run when I score.
Yes, that was that documentary. Documentary. That's
so
right.
Good.
And you know yourself, Ian, if you're a golfer, tennis player, whoever, these guys, an Olympian, they'll always say they visualized it. They dreamed and then they visualize it. Golfers, they visualize hitting that hole in one. And that's so important. And yet, I don't understand why schools are not teaching this, having someone once a week, once a month, going in there, someone like myself going there and teaching these young people about the power of positive thinking, visualization, and because you know what? No one's teaching these young people when they walk out of year 11, 12, year 10, whatever it is. Great, you've got a certificate, you got your certificate, you go out in the real world, then what? Hit a brick wall, hit a problem, hit a challenge, adversity, something happens. Who's teaching these how to overcome it, how to have that never give up attitude? Hence why we've got so much drugs, alcohol, suicide, gangs, because they look for an escape. No one's teaching these people.
100%, mate. And this is one of the reasons why I'm passionate about this as well, because exactly what you described. I got to the end of school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I sort of jumped into a PE teaching degree because it was sport, not because I actually wanted to be a teacher. And then the whole journey then of, as soon as you start learning this stuff, you're like, why wasn't I taught this? Why, like for me, it was 2011 before I started learning this stuff. I'm like, where has this been?
Yeah,
Why are we
that's right.
keeping it? So it's like, we have to teach the parents, because you can teach a child, but if they get back into that environment, they're just going to have the same things happening. And then we also
100%.
need to build
100%.
strategies to help the children know as well. I mean,
That's right.
you tell me, like, I watch my children now taking what they've learned through this journey out there, helping people, perhaps in a way that the other people don't even realize, because it's just become second nature. Are you seeing that with your children as well, that sort of positive influence just by absorption of hanging out with you long enough?
Oh, yes. They all say, oh, dad's a never give up man, like, and of course it rubs off, and it rubs off on their friends.
Yeah.
But Ian, before the program started, remember you said, I want to talk about the influence of sport and what it does to influence young people. We're just saying, well,
Yeah.
Here we go. And this is probably the most important story. The second final, the semi-finals we were playing, and I like talking, because you're sports and this is about sport. The semi-final, we were 2-0 down. Right? We had half-time, gave a pep talk, and pretty much bang, 2-1. And I think within a minute or so, bang, 2-2. Now, at that point, crowd went berserk. I went, that's it. I said, that's it, guys. I said, now we're going for the counter punch. That's it. We've got them on the canvas. Now, that's all I said, right, to my boys.
Yeah.
The referee came up to me and he goes, excuse me, coach. I said, yes. He goes, can you just please tone it down a little bit? I said, what do you mean? I said, I'm not swearing. He goes, no, but you're affecting the other team and coach. I said, what do you mean? He goes, because they're listening to you, what you're saying to your team, and you're affecting them. And I just smiled. I said, are you kidding me?
That's a joke.
When he walked away, one of the parents of the opposition team, this lady goes, excuse me. I turned around. Yes. She goes, can I talk to you for a minute? So I went up to her. I said, yes, madam. She says, I'm a school teacher. I said, okay. And she goes, and that's my boy over there. He's number 11. I said, oh, good. I said, how can I help you? She goes, what you just said to your boys, that's it, boy. This and that. It's, we've got them on the canvas and that. She goes, that's not right. That's the wrong attitude to have to young people, 16-year-olds. I said, what do you mean the wrong? She goes, see, at school, and we've heard this.
Yes.
A race, you come in last, they get a participation certificate. Everyone's winning in that. And we've got to encourage them. I said, listen, madam, with all due respect. She goes, this is the problem with this world. I said, no. I said, let me tell you what I teach my boys and everyone that I talk to.
Yeah.
Life is about winning. Everything is about winning. If it's a marriage, it's about keeping that marriage. If it's about business, it's about keeping it afloat. Everything is about winning. Now, I said, let me clarify that, madam. If Johnny or whoever comes 5th out of 5, he's last, I say to him, Johnny, next race, you're going to go try for 3rd. And then after, you're going to go for 1st. But you're going to be a winner. You've got to be a winner. Because you know what a winner is? I'll tell you what a winner is. A winner is a loser who just never gave up. So and I said to this lady, I said, no. It is about winning. And I'm teaching my boys, it is about winning. 2-0 down. They came back at 2-1. I said, you know what's going to happen? We're going to win this game in extra time. Well, we did end up winning, right? We got to the final. And it is about winning. And that was why the 3rd year, I had all these boys of Balkan Mills and Castle saying, I want to play for that guy. I want to play for that guy, right?
Yeah.
But Ian, at every Wednesday night training, Saturday morning, or whenever we played, before, I'd give him a pep talk. Half-time, I'd give him a pep talk. And at the end, give him a pep talk. I had a little Chinese boy playing, such a good player. His father would be there every day at training and that, and he would have his Samsung. And he would be there filming me. The last day of the grand final, he come up to me, he goes, Peter, he says, I apologize. I hope you don't mind me videoing you. And I said, no, what for? He goes, look, I do it because I own a real estate agency in Rouse Hill. He goes, and I've been videoing you, giving talk to the boys. I go home on a Saturday and the weekend, I download it, upload it, whatever he does. And on Monday morning at the sales meeting, I use you on the screen. And do you know my sales went up 37%, he said, because I listened to you. And I went, and I had goosebumps when he was telling me. I went, oh my God. And he said, yes, Peter, thank you. I said, don't be silly. You can record as much as you want. And I thought to myself then and there, you know what? It's not just the boys, it's everyone. Everyone on this planet needs
Everyone.
inspiration, hope, and encouragement. Because
100%, mate.
whatever I'm teaching, it can be used in business, it can be used personally, it can be used for financial, whatever, you can use it, because I teach and share the basics of life, of never giving up, don't react, respond, and just have purpose and all these things. Put it together, you can achieve anything you want in life.
Brilliant. Oh man, where do I go from there? So many different thoughts. I
Oh,
love
hang
that
on. And there you
on.
go. And now it goes to what you said. So
Yeah.
here I am.
Oh, before we go there, just before that example with the parent, to me, this
Video.
is why.
Video.
No, with the parent
Oh,
who came and
the
who
mother,
wanted
the
to,
mother.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's part of the problem, right? Is
that's
that
right.
the children can learn, and the children all wanted to come and play with you, but because parents have never been taught this stuff, it's so much more hardwired, right? And having to retrain them. I remember getting my over 40s women's team to do visualization. And at first, they were a bit like, "What is this bloke going on about?"
Yeah,
But then they're asking for it. I had to miss a game, right? They're like, "You have to pre-record the visualization so that we
that's
can
right.
still do it beforehand," because then they start to learn. And so I think if anyone's listening and they're a coach and they're like, well, how, that sounds amazing, but how am I going to be able to do that? It's like, well, you start with yourself. How can I be more positive? And then how can I learn to then be able to pass that on? And that's where you're going to get the best results, right? Starting with yourself.
Absolutely. Because in 2004, well, when I was 21, I planted the seed. And I always say, the universe, God has a sense of humor, because I had to go through nearly 41 years of my apprenticeship
Yeah.
to fulfill my dream, which has been a speaker. So
Yeah.
if things doesn't happen straight away, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't be the person at that cemetery that multi-billion-dollar idea is gone because you didn't fulfill it or finish up, because life is going to give you obstacles. And oh man, trust me, the life gave me so many, even terminal cancer, but they didn't get me. I overcome that too. And that's the key. Visualization is what you see, not your brain, not your mind, your subconscious mind, which is the most powerful weapon we all have. Just no one's teaching us how to use it.
Yeah.
But the thing we've got to be careful of, and whoever's listening to this, your subconscious doesn't know the difference, what's real and what's not, but accepts everything as a fact. That's why be careful of saying, I feel sick. Oh my God, I'm going to get cancer. I'll never be able to play for Australia. I'll never be able to do this. I won't be able to find the right person or be financial. If you keep saying that, your subconscious goes,
Okay.
fact. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if we change that mindset to young people, starting them off young, or even adults, because let me tell you, Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried at, what was it, 67? So nothing's impossible. If you change your mindset and have a never give up attitude, you have the chance of achieving whatever you want in life, which leads me on to what you originally asked me about Australia. So here I was.
Yep.
Even though I've always wanted to play as a 15-year-old footy for Australia, didn't happen. So by the time I turned 20, 25, 30,
The dream's over.
Your dream's over, right?
Yeah.
But when I was diagnosed with cancer, I remember I kept saying, you know what, I love playing football. I'm going to hang my boots up on my predators on my term, not theirs, not my term. So I still play. Now, I didn't play for a long time, for 5-6 years. Even though I was coaching, but I didn't play because I did, the damage was done, right? Then one day I got a phone call and they said, there's a thing called walking football. I said, walking football? Like, I'm used to playing right wing, right midfielder, up and down. I said, no, you waste my time walking. Like they're for, people in their 90s. They said, just go try it, Peter. Please, just go. That was about 2.5 years ago. I went there and I had a game. And you know what? I fell in love with it. And I thought, here we go, purpose. 18 months went by and I got an email. I first got represented for Sydney. I went down south and played in Sydney against Wollongong and stuff. Then I got New South Wales. It was a state of origin in football. And then one Saturday morning I woke up and I get on my email on the Saturday morning. On the Friday night, they sent me an email and saying, Mr. Prinzio, We would like to congratulate you. You have now been picked to represent and play for Australia in the WWFA in walking football in the World Cup in England in August, which was last year, at St George's Park.
No
And St
way.
George's Park is with England, the males and the females, their head office, right?
Yeah,
And I just remember that point. I just cried, and
I
I
bet.
went, here I am at 61. I'm going to wear the green and gold and sing the national anthem. And I got to play England, Spain, Italy, my fellow, where my parents come
So,
from.
okay, don't fast forward this. Take me through, right? Change room beforehand and putting on that shirt.
Yeah. So St George's Park in England, in Derby, is where there's 8 ovals plus indoor. There's the Hilton. There's everything you can imagine. No wonder they're
Yep.
so professional over there. So anyway, that's the home of the England team and the
Okay.
Lionesses, right? So that's where the World Cup was held. Or it was called the World Nations Cup. So we got there, and someone said, "Mate, come to the dressing rooms." And what's his name, play for England. I ended up sitting where he was getting changed, and they gave me the kit. We already had the tracksuit in that. They said, "Here's your jersey, number 20, your shorts, socks, and everything." And that's that photo I presume that you saw,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sitting there, and you saw I had the biggest smile.
Yeah.
And they took a photo, and I thought, dreams do come true. Even though at 15, 14, I had this, I love to play for Australia, never had the opportunity. But always, remember the passion, the obsession of playing football.
Yep.
The opportunity can still happen. You never know. My opportunity came. Yeah, it was walking football, but I got to wear the green and gold. My name is now, as the inaugural Australian walking football team, I'm part of it. I got to fly Qatar. I got to go to London at Heathrow Airport. Got picked up, and at the hotel, we looked like a team. I felt like a team. It was amazing. I even wanted to go and buy those headphones and walk in, and be cool. They all do, but I didn't.
NBA player style.
Yeah. It was too expensive.
Yeah. It must have been surreal though. Like I know it's not. You're not playing at Wembley, and you're not. But like standing there and in your country's colours. Did they actually play the national anthem?
Yeah, they played the national anthem. Well, they had to. Obviously, because it is a World Nations Cup. So we had 26 nations there. Like I said, in our group, we had Italy and Spain, France, Czech Republic, England, which they ended up winning it. But here's interesting. The Italians saw my name on the back, Di Prinzio. So we played against them. And one guy in Italian said, "Are you Italian? Like, sei Italiano?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "What are you doing playing for the Kangaroos?" Like in Italian, sounds more funny. Because I said, "Giocare per il Kangaroo," which made me laugh. I said, "Because I was born there." And he laughed. He said, "Come from Italy." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Nah, I'm an Australian." But to sit there, and some of these clubs, some of these nations had ex-professionals. And I have some photos with a guy who played for Seville and Atletico Madrid. The Italian team had Empoli and Sampdoria. These guys who played profession and then become, because of their age, now playing walking football. England had Fulham and Leeds. So I learned a lot. It was a dream come true to wear that green and gold. And you're right, in that dressing room, when I put those shorts on and the top and the jacket and the boots, I had this. I look back, I go, wow, terminal cancer. I'll never walk again. All the adversity, this happened, that happened. My father passed, my mother cancer, my sister MS, this. But I'm here representing my country.
So cool.
Who says dreams can't come true if 100%. You just keep it going?
And like you've mentioned before, it's not too late. Like I've spoken to people from 26 all the way to like 50s and whatever, and go, "Oh, I've left my run too late." I'm like, "Are you joking?" Like, it doesn't take that long. People think it's going to take them too long.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You just got to get started, right?
You just got to get started and never give up. because you don't know what's around the corner. You might give up at a certain point, and you heard this in Rocky, you give up at a certain point when you know you're just that far from an extra blow in boxing or an extra hit in golf or that tennis or whatever. You just don't know. So that's why I always say, what's the alternative? What is it? Do you give up or you never give up? Even though, like Johnny, it doesn't matter that you lose, because a winner was once a loser, just never gave up. Now I lost 40 years, knockback. But then I'm a speaker, living my dream. I'm changing lives, living my dream. I coached the team, 3 grand finals in a row, living my dream. I got to play for Australia, living my dream, all in the age between 50 odd and 60. Do you see my point?
Yeah, 100%. And you touched on something earlier, which I think is so important for people to realize, and that is sometimes that thing that we think is the worst thing is actually ends up being the best thing. A lady I'm coaching at the moment, she was telling me a story about family friends whose child had a really bad bike accident, and they just thought it was going to be the worst thing because he'd been really badly injured. But what they found was similar to you. They found he had a cancer or something similar, and I'm about to run out of battery, so I'm just going to pause here. Yeah, so they found this illness that needed to be treated, and as a result of this thing, which they thought was going to be the worst thing, it ended up saving his life. And you talked about it early on, like you decided you wanted to be a speaker, and sometimes the road is not exactly as you think. We think that we visualize something, it's going to be a straight line, but sometimes we need to be navigated around things. Sometimes we need to learn certain lessons to be able to get to where we need to get. So can you maybe talk a bit to that, Peter, about how important it is to realize that even going through dark times, even going through challenges, still keeping your eye fixed on that prize and what it is that you want, and as you say, never give up.
Yeah, okay. I'll respond that very easily, which is one of the things I teach and share, even to corporate events. Okay, we all drive a car. When we sit in the driver's side,
Yep.
and you got the steering wheel, and you look, what do you notice? The windscreen is huge.
Yeah.
The revision mirror is small. Why is that? Let me explain. The revision mirror is your past. Your windscreen is your future, your destiny. Now, if you're in control of your life and you're on that M2, the M5, M7, whatever it is, you're doing 100 kilometers to get to your destination, and you keep looking at the revision mirror, which is your past, what you've just gone past. You keep looking, what's going to happen? You're going to crash. You're going to crash because you're not looking forward where you're going. Your revision mirror is for a quick look and then back on focus. Your windscreen is where you're heading, where you're going. Now, we will make wrong turns in life. Wrong U-turn, wrong left, whatever. So what do you do when you know you made a wrong turn? Go back on your sat nav, go back in there, and it will retake you back, even though it might be longer, but it'll take you back on track again. Life's the same. We will make wrong turns, wrong decisions.
Yeah.
But guess what? Where you started in when you got in that car and where you want to end up is up to you. And the destination's the big windscreen in front of you. That revision mirror is there just for you, never to forget, but to know that's what I've just gone past, because that's your past. If you keep looking at your past, you're going to crash. Life's the same. You're going to crash. You're going to give up. And that's, I think, the easiest way to explain about
I like it.
Being focused.
Yeah. And it's not saying that there aren't things from the past that aren't impactful and we don't deal with them when they come up. But like you said, it's a glance back, deal with it, acknowledge it, and then keep moving forward to because
that's right.
Too many people I see then get to another, look, I'm gonna look at this thing that I've been through and I'm gonna dig into it, and they get stuck in there for 10 more years instead of looking in that looking through the front windscreen. Love it.
I suppose it's like looking in the revision mirror and you just gone past a mobile speed camera, you go, whoa, and you slow up. So your past is something that you, like mine, my past, really I've used to determine and to inspire me for what I'm doing today. You know what? Triple M FM interviewed me once, and they said to me, Peter, everything you've been through, like today, I just spoke about the cancer. I didn't speak about the other 6 things, right? Because I won't spoil the movie when they come to the event, right?
Yeah.
They said to me, knowing what you know now, what would you change or like to change? And I told them, not one thing. And I said, what, you wanted cancer? I said, no. No one's saying I wanted it. It happened. The past, it happened.
Yeah.
I now use that today. You wouldn't be interviewing me, Triple MFM, or you, Ian, if it wasn't for my past.
Yep.
If it was just, you got picked to play for Australia, okay, but what's your story?
Yeah.
What's your story? The thing is, everyone someone once said, hearing Peter's story is one of the greatest comeback stories I've ever heard. Another journalist said, it's like a Hollywood movie script, except it happens to be real. Now, the universe, God gave me that journey for me now to use to help others. Because what you don't use, you're going to lose, whatever it may be, in sport, professional, whatever.
Yep.
You got a gift. I know what my gift was. That was to be a speaker and to inspire. That's why I'm an inspirational speaker. We all face problems. We will. That's one thing I can guarantee you. And if you don't like any problems and you don't want any problems, guess what? The local cemetery is down the road. Not one of them has a problem. Not one has a problem.
Yeah.
But they're dead. So I look at that and think, Ian, the more problems you have, or your listeners, guess what? The more alive you are. So there's nothing wrong with problems. Because guess what? See, this is a deadlock.
Yeah.
Not one deadlock, not one is created and made around this world, this planet, that doesn't come with what? A key. There's not one problem that doesn't come with a solution. Not one. You just got to look for it.
100%. Not just look for it, but when you attract the solution, being open to actually acting on it, which is the key thing that you've been describing throughout this.
That's right.
And this is why I love this platform, right? Sharing other people's stories to be able to influence and give people, like you said, inspire them and give them hope, so then they can go and live their own stories. And that doesn't mean they become a speaker or a coach or whatever they become, but they get to go and pursue whatever it is, their story, which will inspire other people as well. And wow, this is for the new podcast. This is the first interview I've actually recorded. I'm not sure if it'll go out as the first one, but wow, this is exactly the sort of story that I want to be able to share of inspiration. And doesn't matter what you've been through, doesn't matter what challenges that you've had, then you can overcome it. And what I wanted to ask you about, Peter, because we have talked a lot about sport specifically. I'm very passionate about the positive impact that sport can have on not just on our lives, but on the world in general. And you've described some great examples of the ripple effect that's had, that you've been able to have through that sporting lens. What do you see as the future of the impact that sport can have in this country and then around the world?
I posted the other day that about the power of love, how that is much stronger than the love of power. And unfortunately, around the planet, around the world today, we've seen it. The power and the people with power are controlling us. But one thing I do realize, every 4 years, especially every 4 years, when there's a World Cup, FIFA World Cup, it brings people together. You agree?
Yeah.
And there's that, doesn't matter if like I saw recently, Palestine playing or Israel, it doesn't matter. It'll bring people together. And unfortunately, the leaders and the governments of this world, that's why I said earlier, it's not about being controversial. I'm talking facts here, because I've done a lot of research. I speak to a lot of people. A good leader, remember, is someone is not someone who thinks they're better than you, but someone who brings out the best in you. Unfortunately, we have these leaders that don't understand that, and they want to be better than everybody else. Well, no, I want to change that, because sport is one thing that can bring everyone together. Yeah, there's that rivalry. We know it. If it's Liverpool, Everton, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whatever it may be, we know that. Or if it's the Rabbitohs and the Roosters, but it brings people together, and it's sport.
Yeah.
You'll always have that one or two that want to go that extra step. We'll get that all the time. But if the majority are on the same page, that sport brings people together, it brings people to go and enjoy a battle on the field, and then, and walk off and say, I gave it everything, and I'll be back next week to do it again. That's what sport does. That's what sport does. To me, it does. I play, by the way, I'm 62. I know no one ever picks it because I don't dye my hair, by the way. That's natural. I don't dye my hair, so I got no grey hairs.
Visualization.
Visualization. Yeah, I kept visualizing, Elvis Presley, right? But anyway,
Maradona.
yeah, or Maradona. It's like, but he's dead. They're both dead. Oh my God, what are you doing? You know, all I'm saying is this: sport to me gave me my dream come true. Even though it took all those years, right?
Yeah.
I'm 62. I play, like tonight I'm playing, tomorrow night I'm playing, Thursday morning I'm playing, Saturday morning I'm playing, Sunday afternoon I'm playing. 5 times a week I play football.
Wow.
Not only am I playing walking football, but I'm playing also 11-a-side, which, by the way, 10 years ago, I'll never walk again, Peter, let alone live. So I beaten the odds. Why? Because I wanted to. I wanted to hang my boots up on my terms, nobody else's. And whoever's listening to this, I'll give you some advice. See it with your mind, believe it with your heart, and the manifestation / miracle, whatever you believe in, will happen. It will happen. I promise you. But the key is you can't give up, because it took me 40 years. Because if people give it a month, 2 months, 3 months, go, oh, that's it, I can't do this anymore, it's never going to happen. Well, you're right. It never will, because that's your attitude. Yeah. With me, I never had that attitude. Never. Even with cancer, I had an oncologist who has had university degrees and everything else. Nothing against them. But it was, they said one thing on a diagnosis, I said another based on my subconscious and my heart and my purpose.
Love it.
I beat them. I proved them wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
100%.
My mother did the same. So there you go.
That's so good. So just to really ram this home, you've got to have passion, you've got to have purpose, and you've got to have self-belief so you never give up.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
So, Peter, I know the date of your event, next event, might not necessarily, like, it may have come and gone before this goes out, but tell us, for people who are like, I've got to go see this guy, tell us where they can go so they can see where your next event is. What's your website?
Okay, so on my website, peterdeprinzio.com.au, if they click on events, it'll be updated to whatever events, if it's here in Sydney or Melbourne, where I'm going next, and then Brisbane, Adelaide. As I said, I'm starting my tour, which is called the World Needs Hope Tour. And then my book will be released very soon.
Awesome.
Which is it's purely, when I sat down with my ghostwriter, because do you know what, Ian? If someone said to me, Pete, here's a microphone, there's 20,000 people there, go and share. Boom, give it, I'll do it, and I'll blow them away. Now, Peter, put your story in writing. I have no idea. So I had to get a ghostwriter, but finally, we've written a book. Awesome. It's going to be absolutely inspirational because it goes in detail. It'll have photo. So it's going to be released as an ebook first. And the reason why it took longer, because my last chapter, which I didn't realize until it happened, was playing for Australia. So we had to put that chapter in.
Of course.
So we did the cancer bit, overcome all that. And then it was, hang on. My manager said, Peter, this is huge. You're playing, you got to represent Australia. Like people listen to you in your age group that want to give up and, I'm too old to play. You're going to inspire. No, we have to put that in your book. So
100%.
That's why.
You better make sure you get it published soon before you get another story you need to put in there.
I know the universe, right? So whoever's listening to this, please, one thing about my events, I can tell you this, I took a long time to put it together. It comes with music, videos, and photos, plus me on stage. And if you think I've got passion, watch this Italian guy on stage. It's 10 times worse, for the better, of course. And people walk out and they say to my events manager, what did I just experience? Oh my God, I never expected that. And they walk out inspired. And that's what I want. Awesome. That's what I want. Because did you read my post? Why the message? that I had to delay it due to
Postponed it,
personal.
I did. Yeah.
But
Watched
did you
your
read?
video as well.
Yeah, but did you read the what
Oh yeah, the lady who started applying the
paralysis?
principles. Yeah, the
Yeah,
paralysis who
yeah.
can now walk. Yeah,
You can
right.
now walk. Well, here I am. I had no idea this happened, only because my manager rang up Hope FM and I said, "Listen, we've got to tell you this what happened," and they shared it. And this woman that was at my event said to this lady, "Google his name. There's this video that he shows at the end, which I do all the time, and watch it." And she did, and now she's walking. It just shows you the power of the subconscious and never giving up attitude does.
100%. 100%.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
so
we'll make sure
no,
we get your website, and when the ebook link
comes
is
out.
up, we'll get that in the show notes as well, so people can grab a copy of
Sure.
that. And I think you had one more thing you were about to say then, Pete.
No, I was just going to say, just to answer you. So if people really want to come wherever you are in Australia, the next one is here in Sydney, which will probably be 2 to 3 weeks max here at Castle Hill. Get on my website and have a look. It'll update you, and you can get your tickets. And look, it's $49. I had a guy to come to one of my events 2 years ago. Owns a massive organization, a group of salespeople and managers. And he's been all over the world for the last 20 years watching the greatest sales motivational speakers. He came to my event at the Ridges, and he came up to me and he goes, "You know what, Peter?" He said, "Knowing what I just heard and saw, if you charge $2,000, I would pay it. And for my son, and for my wife, and for my next door neighbor." And he goes, "Let me tell you," and this was the greatest gift. He goes, "I believe you have to be one of the top speakers I've heard in the last 20 years.
Wow, that's so awesome.
And I said to him, I said, "Tony," he goes, "No." He said, "I'm telling you." I said, "But we've got Anthony Robbins." He goes, "Yeah, but Anthony Robbins doesn't have your story."
No.
And he goes, you came across very, real. And that's what people needs to hear now. People don't want to be motivated anymore, how to make millions of dollars. People want to be inspired, hence why inspirational speaker, and want hope. They want to hear a story that go, "You know what? If Peter can do this, a school dropout, everything against him, and still achieve his dreams, I can do this." And that's what I want. From a 12-year-old to a 90-year-old. That's my audience.
You're talking my language, mate. That's exactly right. People don't want polish and perfect. They want real, raw stories they can relate to. And that's why I've such an honor to have you on, Peter. And thank you so much for sharing your story, brother.
No, a pleasure. If I can change someone's life out there, that's my job, because that's what I'm here for. So thank you, Ian. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, mate. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, how good was that? Like I said in the intro, exactly the sort of conversations I wanted when I set out planning this podcast. The key lessons that I learned from today from Peter, the power of dreams, having that something to shoot for that's beyond you, having that sense of purpose, and the power of the subconscious mind. His ability to move past those challenges, including that life-threatening illness, by tapping into the subconscious. Amazing. So much to learn there. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Also, to help me reach even more people with these messages, with these great conversations, make sure you go onto whatever the podcast platform is that you're using, click subscribe or follow. Some of them it's follow or the bell or whatever it is, and make sure you're following, because that helps me to reach more people and to share this message with as many people as possible. You've taken the time to listen to this whole episode. Now it's time to take action. Commit to one thing you've learned today and make it happen. And to avoid any obstructions, join the Sport is Life movement by clicking on the link in the show notes.